The Toronto Blue Jays finally have some positive news this summer, or this winter anyway. They bring in a starting pitcher, Jeff Hoffman, 3 years, $33 million. Very comparable to what he was looking for in free agency. Very comparable to the Clay Holmes deal. They also get some good news that maybe, just maybe, they could see an extension for Vlad Jr. Cubs add a starter, that and more ahead next here at The Upside. And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us late on a Friday evening. Hopefully you guys in Toronto land finally are celebrating as you have some positive news to discuss for the first time all off season. Jeff Hoffman, former Toronto Blue Jay, ultimately finds his way back to Toronto. They get a starting pitcher, which is what they've been looking for all off season. But now comes the bigger questions. What are they going to do with Vlad Guerrero? Are they going to be able to sign him to an extension? And what other top free agents are they able to lure during free agency? Now, this is the first real salvo into free agency that they've really made this offseason. They need to make several additions to this team because they're trying to win in 2025. As currently constructed, I find that hard to believe, given the Yankees' position in that division. Orioles, I imagine, are going to get a number one starter at some point. Red Sox look like a better team as well. And the Rays should be a better team after having some guys come off of injury where they didn't perform at all last year. Shane McClanahan, among others. But we'll see what the Blue Jays do. 3 for 33 with incentives that could take the deal to 3 for 39. Again, he was looking for a Clay Holmes type of deal because he wanted to be a starting pitcher, and that's what he gets from the Toronto Blue Jays. Good get here for Toronto. There was some consternation anyway from the Baltimore Orioles. Looks like they had an agreement in place with the with Jeff Hoffman, but ultimately there was something in the medicals that they didn't really like. So good on Toronto for going ahead and making sure they get some addition, some positive momentum this offseason. Welcome in Rafe, Mark, Sean, Nando, B. Skrills. Appreciate you joining us once again. Morgan, thank you guys for joining us. Rafe, I'm going to go cry myself to sleep. Texas is so trash. I don't know about that. They still need to make a bullpen addition. I don't know about trash. They've done several things to improve this roster. I would say the Rangers, being one of the most active teams in free agency and via trade, that they are certainly not trash. They still have some holes, yes. They still could possibly bring in Roki Sasaki. They still could bring in Kirby Yates. Maybe they go out there and make a trade for a relief pitcher. But I like what Texas has done so far. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress, though, when you consider if Roki comes in or if they go after a top-end reliever. They have about $6 to $7 million with which to work right now. tells me they're probably going to have to offload John Gray's deal. That would save them about $13 million. That would give them enough money to bring in Kirby Yates and bring in a lesser starting pitcher. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. Jacob Eunice might be one of those type of players. Jose Urena, who they had success with last year. Those are some players that we could see end up in Texas. All right, let's see here. Mark, finally he's hoping Hoffman's shoulder. Here's hoping Hoffman's shoulder is fine. If so, great signing. I would agree there. But the medicals do worry you a little bit because the Orioles have been notorious for nixing deals because of injuries popping up in the medical, and we'll see if those issues crop up at some point during Hoffman's Blue Jays tenure. Sean, is Colin Ray the only starter the Cubs sign, or will there be another one? Good question, Sean. They don't really have a ton to spend this offseason. They were still looking to add one starter. They were still looking to add a bullpen piece, a high-end leverage reliever. And they were still looking for some offensive improvements. I think $5 million is a great deal for Colin Ray. Do I think it gets them a number 1 or 2 in that rotation? No. But I think it gives them solid major league innings. I think that's what you're really hoping for out of Colin Ray. Maybe 100, 120 innings is what you'd hope for out of their number 5 starter, Colin Ray. But I think that pretty much is it for the Cubs on the starting pitching front. Maybe there's a bigger trade out there, but I don't see it. I think they're still going to try to add a high-end reliever, and I still think they're going to try to add a couple of bats to that lineup. So as to your question of whether or not this is going to be it for the rotation, I believe so. Nando, Hoffman to the Jays, Rich Hill next. Maybe. Alrighty. Sean, will Colin Ray be the last starter the Cubs sign, or will there be a bigger one? I think, like I just said, that will be the last one there. B. Skrills, ALDS, Red Sox 95-67, Guardians 93-69, Rangers 90-72. Yeah, I don't think the A's are going to be that good of a team. I think their offense is going to be very good, but their pitching staff still leaves a lot to be desired. Morgan, hey, Upside Sports Network, do you think that Santander and Bregman will sign with the Blue Jays? If I had to guess right now, I would say no. I think the Blue Jays are certainly one of the finalists for both of those guys. I think Bregman goes to one of the two teams, the Red Sox or the Tigers. I think the Tigers, if they miss on Bregman, could ultimately bring in Santander. If they don't, then I could see Santander go to the Blue Jays. Alrighty, Caleb, welcome back. Lucas, welcome in. Did you see the meme I sent you, Michael? I did not see the meme, no. As we were logging off the air last night, I did see a bunch of messages come in as we were logging off last night. Jordan Luplo, I know you were trying to get a hold of me to get the Hector Gomez reports. The report from Hector Gomez basically said that the Blue Jays were putting together a contract extension offer very similar to what Vlad Guerrero Jr. was said to be looking for in an extension offer. We get some news today from Hector Gomez, some positive videos anyway from Vlad Guerrero Jr. I wonder if there's some positive negotiations going on there behind the scenes, but we haven't seen anything concrete come about yet. Of course, you never know until it's actually done, signed on the dotted line. But until they do, I think there's a better, more optimistic chance that they bring him in, or at least retain his services after this season, than there was, say, 24, 48 hours ago. That report by Hector Gomez kind of giving you that confidence if you are a Blue Jays fan. Caleb Atkins has come out and said he will close games, so don't see him as a starter in Toronto. Interesting. I did not see that one. I know he was looking to be a starter, so maybe he was convinced enough to go to the bullpen there. B. Skrills, okay. Rafe, I did in fact mean the Longhorns, should have clarified, but hey, both teams disappointed me recently. Well, the Longhorns, I think they were tied 14-14 last I saw before we came on. They were my second pick to win it all. My number 1 pick was the Notre Dame Irish. Welcome in, Verlis. Welcome in, Holly. Appreciate you joining us once again. Nando, for not wanting media attention. Roki, why is Sasaki waiting until the last 72-hour signing window? Just pick already. I think he's still picking between the teams as far as still learning more information about these clubs. He's not going to be able to sign for another, 3-4 days anyway? It's the 10th right now. He's not going to sign until the 15th. He still has to come and visit the ballparks, I'm sure, for a few teams. I'm sure he's already started those visits to see how the city works, see how the ballpark's going to work, how life will be like for him wherever he might sign, and see what their plan is to make him the greatest pitcher they possibly can. But Roki's going to take his time, and like I said, he's not going to make his decision until he finally can sign on the dotted line. So it might still be a few more days before we see the white smoke from Roki Sasaki. Let's see here. Sean, will they add someone to replace Mastrobuoni? Uh, as far as the Cubs go, I think they're still going to look for a high-end reliever. I think their number one priority now. If they get another bat, great. But I think their top priority right now has got to be a closer. They've been connected to Kirby Yates. They've been connected to Ryan Presley. They've been connected as well to a trade target in Ryan Helsley. But we'll see what they ultimately decide to do. And then to agree, D-Rod, Michael, good evening, sir. How you be? Absolutely miserable. I had to leave work early anyway. Still a little delirious, so I might not have the longest live today, but I told you guys when I started doing this again that I was going to be live every single night for you guys, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep you guys updated every single night from around Major League Baseball's hot stove season. No matter my feelings or how I'm doing, I'm still going to be here for you guys, and I appreciate you guys coming out and supporting us tonight. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys for joining us once again. Johnny, good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. D-Rod, Sasaki is waiting till the last days to sign for media attention. He's waiting to make the right decision for him and make the most money possible. Sure, make the most money possible, but I think it's more about him getting to a destination he wants to go to. If it was all about the money, he would wait a couple of years and add another $200 million to whatever contract he would sign. As far as the media attention, I don't think he wants all that media attention. We heard the consternation Roki had over in Japan about how the media did handle him over there. I don't think he necessarily wants to put himself in the ire of the media here just before he even starts his career stateside. Welcome in, Tato. Appreciate you joining us. You want to know something interesting? Jeff Wilson said we have $15 to $20 million to spend. Apparently, Jock's and Evo's contracts have some bonuses that won't count against the luxury tax. That's quite a lot. I'll believe Jeff there. I still think that the money there, we're still looking less than 15 to 20. I think that we're probably looking anywhere between 5 to 15. 20 just seems really high. And yes, they backload the deal for Eovaldi. Yes, they did a little bit of maneuvering with Jock's deal. So I believe there's probably a little bit more money there, but I don't believe there's $20 million. Like we were speculating earlier this offseason that the Rangers could do a little bit of shoehorning some contracts in there. By spacing out the deals, by backloading some contracts, and I'm sure they've done that a little bit here. I don't think anybody really knows, as far as the media in general, what the actual number is, what they can do. But I'm sure the Rangers still are open to all kinds of possibilities via free agency, trade. They have all chips. They have all options on the table right now, with the trade of John Gray being one of those options. A trade for Ryan Helsley, another trade for Duran, maybe a signing of Yates. All kinds of options are still on the table for the Rangers. Alrighty. Rafe, it's 28-14. Tonight they sold. OSU whooped us. Score just doesn't really show it. Ewers was terrible in the first half. Sack after sack after sack, just holding the ball too long. He was bad. D-Rod, isn't a Mastrobuoni the machine that can clean the... No, that would be a Zamboni. D-Rod, that would be a Zamboni. Cowboys Nation O's were signing Hoffman until the physical. I wonder what they found in his shoulder. I am curious as well, but I'm sure it's not enough of an issue for the Blue Jays, because after all, they did get the deal done with him. Rafe, I'm so glad Ewers is gone, but anyways, back to baseball, because Rangers are going to win, since all the Tiger teams won't do... All right. Evening, ladies and gentlemen. All righty. Let's go ahead and head over to X and see if anything is happening tonight. Another move by the Blue Jays to create room for Hoffman. Brett DeHues was designated for assignment there. Let's head over to MLB trade rumors, see if anything else is happening today. Kittredge he agreed to a deal, I believe, with the Orioles. I think it was $10 or $11 million. $9 million with $1 million buyout, so 10 guarantee. That'll be your setup guy. I told you guys that the Orioles would be looking to add a option to take some of the innings, the workload off of Felix Bautista as he kind of worked his way back into game shape. And I like the signing here because it will allow Bautista to kind of work himself up slowly to where they don't have to put all their chips in his basket. Let's see here. Cowboys Nation been telling you guys Patrick Kane is printing money. Another easy 2.9. Yes. Let's see here. Johnny, you mentioned Presley. Who is interested in him and what do they want to do? The Astros are looking to save a little bit of money. They're $3 million over the luxury tax threshold right now. By trading Presley, that would save them $14 million towards those calculations. That would give them $11 million with which to add an outfielder. That's what they're looking to do right now. So we'll see, what where the teams or where Presley ultimately is getting traded to. I do think he'll be traded before the start of the season. If I had to guess, the Detroit Tigers are a great fit there. The history there with A.J. Hinch, I don't think they're necessarily a favorite for Kirby Yates, but I think they're going to be one of the finalists there. But we'll see which direction they go. If I had to guess, I would say Presley is kind of the second option for the Dodgers as well if they miss on Tanner Scott. Let's see here. Welcome in, Joe. Appreciate you joining us. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. We'll be live every single night during the MLB hot stove season, and then during the regular season, we'll be live every single night as well. Come rains, shine, snow, if I'm sick or not, I will be here breaking down all the latest from MLB. D-Rod, Michael, have you seen Jim Bowden grades for offseason moves so far? I have. I take his grades with a grain of salt. He's overly strict on a few of the moves sometimes, and so that's why I like his grades. I like his baseball mind, but sometimes he can be overly critical of some moves there. So just because he puts your off-season moves at like a D or a C, I would take that with a grain of salt anyway. I like a lot of the moves that we've seen from Major League Baseball teams that's off-season. I keep telling you guys, I like smart baseball decisions. And for the most part, we've seen some really good, smart baseball decisions from the majority of baseball teams this year. So as far as any move that sticks out to me as an absolutely terrible move, I think one would be the Blue Jays trading for Chris Jimenez. I really don't like that move at all. The money that they're going to be giving to him did not really sit well with me. That's one of the moves I don't really like. And then two, if the Angels ultimately add via free agency a guy like Santander, Alonso, etc., I think that would be a complete miss as well. We'll get into Pete Alonso's negotiations here in just a second as well. That'll be kind of our final story of the day. Rafe, why don't bad teams with a few good players but a lot of up-and-coming prospects sign their stars to front-loaded deals so when the prospects are ready they have more spending money to be aggressive? We have seen that before, actually, a few different times, but it is very rare. I think you want to see those players hit and prove to be productive at the major league level first before you do those kinds of deals, which increases the risk to the making those deals as well. So I think the risk is really why they don't do those type of contracts. Joe, any chance the Red Sox sign Tanner Scott? They are rumored to be one of the finalists there. Do I believe it necessarily? No. I think there's plenty of arms that they've already added to that rotation and to that bullpen. They don't need a guy like Tanner Scott. I think a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, the New York Mets are going to be the team that ultimately signs him. But we've been surprised over and over and over again this offseason by the Red Sox. I think their biggest pressing need is to add a bat like Alex Bregman. That's where I think they should be investing their money rather than in Tanner Scott. Cali Yankee fan, 105 mil is the minimum teams have to spend to avoid grievance. Yes, that sounds about right. I thought it was around 105, 110. But the Marlins, the Marlins, the Rays, and the A's are all in jeopardy of having a grievance filed against them. But there's tons of opportunities for those teams to take on bad contracts for some other from some other high payroll teams. I don't think they'll have any issue taking on some bad money and acquiring some prospects for the ability to do so. Cowboys Nation, I think the Mets land Tanner. Feels like Sasaki is holding up some moves. I would agree there. I think the starting pitching market is about as far as it's going to get until Sasaki signs. Once he signs, I think the rest of the starting pitchers sign relatively quickly. Remember, we're less than about a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting, so we'll see what happens there. Why will Sasaki go to Toronto for no reason? Toronto? I have not heard Toronto. I've heard pretty much every other team as far as having interest. I know teams like the Phillies and Red Sox both had interest in Sasaki, but they were rebuffed and not allowed to meet with him. I think the finalists that Ken Rosenthal mentioned are fairly accurate. The Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Rangers, the Padres, and the Dodgers, with the Mariners as a quote-unquote dark horse team. I have not seen Toronto's name in the Sasaki sweepstakes too much anyway, so I'm sure all teams have interest in him, but we'll see where Sasaki decides he wants to go. Remember, he's going to sign wherever he thinks he has the best chance to be the greatest pitcher he can be, so if that's in Toronto, he will sign there. I don't think it has anything to do with the position of the team or anything like that. I think he's going to take all of those aspects of a team into consideration, but whatever is going to work best for him is where he's going to sign. Alrighty, one last news item today is on Pete Alonso. Earlier today, we saw some reports about Alonso, how he was willing to offer an opt-out. He offer a 3-year deal with the Mets, and only with the Mets, with an opt-out after the first and second year, to allow the Mets to be able to retain his services and possibly go into free agency next year and see if they can bring in Vlad Guerrero Jr. That's one interesting note that we've seen in the Alonso sweepstakes over the last week. Other than that, we've seen nothing but bad news for Alonso. How all the rest of the free agent dollars have really, shrunken around first base. That he's going to have to take less. That he might have to sign a short-term deal. This is the shortest deal I've even heard of him taking. The curiosity will be, what will that average annual value be? I imagine if it's 1 year with an opt-out and then an opt-out after the second year, we'd probably be looking in the $30 million range as far as what his deal could look like in year one. But interesting notes there from the Mets. If they're able to bring back Pete Alonso, maybe they do it on a short-term deal. And Pete Alonso was the one who came up with that idea. So we'll see where he goes. But I think Alonso's still very likely to go back to the New York Mets. I think it's clear that he wants to stay a member of the Mets. Teams like the Giants have kicked the tires on him. Teams like the Angels have kicked the tires as well. Blue Jays, as kind of a backup option if they lose Vlad Guerrero Jr., have also kicked the tires on him. But I think he ultimately stays with the New York Mets. Appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you guys for all the support you guys have given us. Why will Sasaki go to Toronto for no reason? He loved Camden. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you guys for all the support. Let me go ahead and update this page, see if anything else is happening. Gonna have a short video today, and then we'll be back live again tomorrow. Hopefully the meds that I got from the doctor anyway will kick in, and then hopefully I'll be able to see straight when I'm live with you guys again. But appreciate all the support you guys have given us, joining us. We're only 23 minutes into a live and almost have 60 of you guys with us. Thank you guys so much for all the support you guys have given us, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to have a longer live and be able to get into some of the nitty-gritty around Major League Baseball's hot stuff. All right, thank you guys. Y'all have a great evening. Stay safe out there, everybody.